Welcome everybody to tonight's presentation of Migraine at School. U.S. Pain Foundation, the Pediatric Pain Warrior Program is honored to collaborate with Migraine at School to bring you tonight's webinar, Migraine at School. A few reminders for everybody who is joining us tonight. First, if you are joining us from via the actual webinar right now, welcome. Please use the Q&A section on the bottom of the screen to type in all of your questions, and the questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. For those of you who are joining us via Facebook, hello and welcome. And please use the comment section on in the Facebook app or program. Just type your questions right in on the comments. We have somebody monitoring them and they will pass your questions on to us. Again, questions will all be answered at the end. But please also remember that questions will be answered generically. We can't answer a lot of specific questions, but we can do our best to make sure that we understand what your question is and answer it more on a generic basis. And finally, we want to thank CHAMP and our corporate counsel for all of their efforts in supporting the U.S. Pain Foundation throughout the year. So for those who don't know, my name is Casey Cashman. I'm actually the director of the Pediatric Pain Warrior Program. I'm here tonight just to moderate this, but on to more important people, I want to introduce you to Melissa Piercey. She is a mom to 3 children, Paige, Ava, and Nicholas. She loves serving her community through church as well as her children's school. She's been a PTA president and has hosted many fundraisers. She is a parent advocate working to educate others to help fight the stigma associated with chronic migraine disease, especially for school-age children. So when she's not doing all of that, and probably not during COVID, but aside from all of that, she does love to travel. So without any other questions or comments, I'm going to turn this on over to you, Melissa.
Thank you, Casey. I am so pleased to be here with you all tonight, and I want to thank the U.S. Pain Foundation for this wonderful opportunity. As she said, my name is Melissa Piercey, and I am the Director for Community Outreach for Migraine at School. Migraine at School program was developed by the Stigma and Education Committee of CHAMP, which is the Coalition for Headache and Migraine Patients. In partnership with coalition participants, the committee has gathered the best resources and information for students, parents, and educators to ensure that all kids with headache diseases are given the best opportunity to excel in school. The impact of migraine is significant when you consider that migraine is the leading cause of disability in the age group 15 to 49 worldwide, and impacts more people worldwide than those with epilepsy, diabetes, and asthma combined. Due to lack of education as well as the stigma associated with it, many believe that migraine is just a headache, when in fact it is a neurological disease. More than 90% cannot work or function normally during an attack, and the vast majority do not seek medical care for their pain. Did you know that 10% of school-aged kids and 28% of adolescents have migraine? And students with migraine are 2 times more likely to have school absences. And studies show that those increased absences can reduce the likelihood of graduation. This is why migraine at school matters. I would like to share my migraine journey with you all because it illustrates the need for migraine at school. Almost 6 years ago, my daughter Ava had an accident at school which resulted in a serious concussion. She saw a neurologist who treated her symptoms and sent her on her way. Over the next 2 months, her symptoms increased and we went back to him seeking help and answers. After a cursory exam, he told Ava to find a pain clinic and a psychiatrist because pain was now her life. This diagnosis was not only devastating, it was unacceptable. We were offered neither help nor answers. Fortunately, Ava's psychiatrist referred her to Dan Henry, MD, a wonderful headache specialist who was able to give her a diagnosis of migraine. Unfortunately, a short time later, her episodic migraine became chronic. Dr. Henry has educated us about migraine disease and is diligent and determined in Ava's care. I realized how important it is that we have a doctor who understands not only migraine, but chronic pain as well. Dr. Henry is a constant source of support, encouragement, and most of all, hope. Throughout the medical process, we were trying to get Ava back into her regular school routine. She was anxious about her sporadic attendance, leaving school early, coming in late, not to mention the backlog of assignments. Some of her teachers were complaining to the administration, and now the administration was complaining to me. I thought the solution was finding a way to keep Ava in school because that was what was expected. It is my belief that a school's burden is to educate and provide reasonable accommodations when necessary. And furthermore, I believe it's the parents' or guardians' responsibility to take care of everything above and beyond that. I went to the administration asking for support, help, guidance, thinking that surely they would know what to do. I was unfortunately met with pushback, was shamed a little, and told that it had been long enough. She just had a headache. I was familiar with the Section 504 accommodations and decided that that was the route we should take. I gathered doctor's notes, a list of what I thought Ava's accommodation should look like, and set up an appointment with the school administration. I was met with still more pushback, and they only gave her a fraction of what she needed. Time was ticking as far as the school year went, and she was getting farther and farther behind. She needed more specific accommodations in order to catch up, and especially with her current challenges. A lot of time and effort was wasted through emails and phone calls that did not produce results. At this point, we were almost a full quarter in with very little help for Ava. From the school's perspective, migraine was uncharted territory. They wouldn't budge. It finally dawned on me that they knew about as much of migraine as I did when I started this journey, which was very little. I began educating the administration about migraine disease and then explained why Ava needed the accommodations that we were asking for. When they finally understood, they ended up giving her everything she needed. Some of Ava's accommodations included modified assignments, modified time at school, extra time to complete assignments and tests, using a scribe, using a reader, and being able to take quizzes and tests orally. The accommodations empowered Ava, making it possible for her to minimize her symptoms, which then allowed her to maximize her learning. In short, they did their job. Throughout this process, I sometimes vented my frustrations to Dr. Henry. He knew all too well what we were going through. He had heard countless versions of our story and had experienced it with his own daughter, Danielle. Learning there were many families experiencing our same challenges and frustrations made me want to help. I gave Dr. Henry my phone number and email address and asked him to share it with any parent that wanted help working with schools. I have since had the privilege of helping several parents in my own state, as well as a few others through Dr. Henry. While the students' challenges were diverse, they all required the same basic protocol, the protocol that I used for Ava. 1, get a diagnosis. 2, have a doctor who understands or who would like to understand about migraine. 3, meet with the school regarding options and educate them about migraine related to your student. And 4, know which accommodations are available to help them navigate school. After learning the staggering statistics mentioned earlier of children and adolescents who have migraine and headache disease, I realized my efforts were merely a drop in the bucket. Fortunately for me, I had a desire to get migraine education into schools, which led me to have a position with the Danielle Foundation, which is a participant of CHAMP, which brought us together with the Stigma and Education Committee, which created Migraine at School. All who worked on this committee to develop this program have a shared experience, just like mine, as well as a shared vision, which is why Migraine at School is thorough and effective. I am super excited to share it with you this evening. Migraine at School is a comprehensive package of materials that includes infographics for each audience, which are students, parents, and educators, posters that can be in nurses' offices, faculty break rooms, and pediatricians' offices, a symptom screener that is protocol in elementary school and can be used whenever migraine symptoms are suspected in any age, and a lesson plan for schools to implement in their health programs, especially junior and senior high. Let's begin with the 3 infographics and poster. For the educator, this would be given to the school nurse, counselor, front office ladies, or whomever would be seeing students when they are not feeling well. Often there is a pattern that develops with these students. This list of possible symptoms can help them to recognize it. It also offers guidance for caring for a student with migraine attack, and educators will also have posters to display in the nurse's office, sick room, break room, or front office. These are a larger version of the images and descriptions as the educator and student infographics. For the student, when a student has exhibited symptoms of migraine, they will be given this infographic to bring home and discuss with their parent or guardian. It offers tips for self-care and has suggestions to help give the student a voice, encouraging them to advocate for themselves. Many children are reluctant to speak up when they're not feeling well. It can be even more difficult for those with migraine and other invisible illnesses. Too often, these kids are told that they don't look sick, that they were having fun at recess a little while ago, that they are suspected to be trying to get out of schoolwork, and are told they complain about feeling well way too frequently. Giving them a voice is powerful. For the parent, as a parent who wishes that they had these resources, this infographic is my favorite. It encourages the parent to educate themselves about migraine, because the more you know, the better you can advocate for your child. It reminds them to take migraine seriously. There is a lot of stigma surrounding this disease, and the pain is often misunderstood. It is important to remember it is not just a headache. It teaches that not all migraine symptoms are head pain. There are many other symptoms of migraine disease: nausea, vision changes, ear discomfort, and more. Additionally, it recommends that they make an appointment for their child to see a doctor. Next are the steps parents can take to get their child to get the help they need. Number 1, proper diagnosis is the first step to getting the help that they require. 2, it would be ideal to see a headache specialist. If that's not an option, it's important to ask the doctor if they know about migraine. If not, ask if they are interested in learning about it. We have resources available if you want to bring those to your doctor as well. If your child is diagnosed with migraine, you will want to ask for the letter from the doctor, as their school may require it for receiving any 504s or an IEP, so that's important to keep in mind. 3, help your child manage lifestyle choices. That means less screen time, eating healthy meals, staying hydrated, keeping a regular sleep schedule, and stress management. As you know, pain causes stress, so it would be a good idea to meet with a pain psychologist or other mental health professional to identify coping strategies. And 4, there are accommodations available for your child. Just ask. If their migraine is more severe or chronic, look into a 504 or an IEP. There is an additional letter available to parents titled, "Now that you have a diagnosis." It is a detailed how-to from making the initial doctor appointment, questions to ask, and diagnosis, through setting up a meeting with the school, what to bring to the meetings, and what to ask for. Next is this amazing list of possible accommodations. I say amazing because I, like every other parent going through this process, has had to create each and every accommodation our student needs. It can be quite a task. Many of these accommodations are one size fits all, but can be tweaked to better fit your child's specific needs. If you don't see everything you need, feel free to create your own. You know what your student needs, simply ask for it. Each of these infographics is a wonderful tool for their specific audience, but when used together, they make all the difference. It is known that episodic migraine, those that occur occasionally, can become chronic 15 or more per month. In many cases, it is possible to prevent this through early intervention. This is why we offer a pediatric and adolescent migraine and headache screen. Elementary school students will be screened much like vision and hearing screening. Additionally, it will be used when a student in any grade K through 12 presents with migraine or headache symptoms. The screen is a questionnaire. It asks 4 questions and has a box to tick indicating that they have that symptom. These are worded a little bit differently for the up to 12 and the 12 and older. The questions are, how would you rate your headache pain from moderate to severe? Does your headache get worse when you walk, run, and play? That's for elementary. And have you missed a school day, sport event, or fun activity because your head hurt too much? That's for middle and high school. Do you frequently have nausea, vomiting, and/or stomach pain? If they tick any of the boxes, they will be sent home with a card or letter indicating that they were screened at school and that migraine was suspected. Finally, we have a lesson plan for junior high and high school students. This can be used in health class. The lesson plan is a valuable tool, kind of a triple threat. It serves to educate, raise awareness, and to decrease stigma all at the same time. To recap this process, 1, the student presents with migraine symptoms. 2, the school screens them by asking a few questions and reviews the list of symptoms on the educator infographic. 3, the student is given the student infographic and encouraged to follow the tips for self-care and empowerment. 4, the student is sent home with the parent infographic. 5, the parent contacts the doctor and communicates with the school. 5, the educator will follow up with the student and parent or guardian. One of the greatest things about this program, besides how effective and easy it is to use, is that all of this information, as well as additional resources, can be found on the Migraine at School website. migraineatschool.org, a collection of the best resources for students, parents, and educators. The website offers information about migraine disease, resources and articles, links to support groups for students and parents, suggestions for tools to manage migraine, downloadable documents to bring to doctor's appointments and school meetings, the 3 infographics, and more. I encourage you all to check it out. I am excited to share some exciting news for Migraine at School. This past May, I was privileged to bring the program to the Utah PTA, which approved our resolution to make Migraine at School available to every public school in the state. While this is an exciting leap forward in Utah, this is the first step overall. We would like to see it in every school in every state. If you have any questions or would like to be an ambassador, you can contact me at melissa@daniellefoundation.org or the Migraine at School team at info@migraineatschool.org. Thank you very much for your time, and to US Pain for the wonderful opportunity to be with you this evening. I would love to open it for questions.
Okay, sorry, I just need to make sure I was back on. Melissa, thank you so much. That was, I mean, I've been in this space for quite some time, and it's just always still so shocking to see some of these numbers and statistics that that are mentioned and brought out, and to see it in real life just really brings it to life. So thank you for all that you guys have done. To Migraine at School, congratulations on everything you've done out in Utah. I don't think I missed it, but maybe I did, but I don't know. Did you mention the billboards out in Utah?
I did not.
Okay, well, for those on, I just thought I would mention that as of right now, there are 48. Is that correct? Okay, there are 48 billboards across Utah right now regarding Migraine at School. So for anybody who knows anything about raising awareness, knows just how amazing that is. So kudos to you and your team behind you in that. So at this time, am I correct in saying that Dr. Henry is actually going to come on as well? I mean, I know he's on, but is he going to be here to answer some questions as well as you, Melissa, or is he staying behind the scenes?
Yes, he is available.
Okay, so hello to Dr. Henry, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for the webinar. A little bio on Dr. Henry. He is board certified in family practice. He became a founding partner at Foothills Family Clinic. He is a certified clinical research professional and has done extensive clinical research for 21 years, publishing over 25 research articles. Dr. Henry's practice includes all aspects of family medicine with a particular interest in child, adolescent, and young adult headache disease. And he also founded the Danielle Byron Henry Migraine Foundation. So welcome and thank you for joining us, as well as Migraine at School for this. So thank you so much. Let me go. I had to quickly find your bio, but I did, and I did with some help. But so the first question that we have says, how do you recommend asking my daughter's pediatrician for a referral to a headache specialist or neurologist? Her doctor has prescribed a rescue med, but it doesn't always work and has been resistant to refer to neurology.
Well, first of all, one of our next big projects after Migraine at School and while we're doing Migraine at School is trying to educate primary care providers, pediatricians, family docs, internists, and all the mid-levels to actually take care of migraine disease, because this is really a primary care specialty. I mean, if you look at trying to get a referral, for a lot of the, like in University of Utah, typically is 6 to 12 months. So we need a lot more providers to do this. So one thing I want to throw out there is, is the Migraine Toolbox, which is a online free CME program that takes you all the way from the basics to the most complicated treatments and care that any primary care providers can do. And this is on my CME. So I just wanted to bring that out there because we need a lot more. And yes, you can request your pediatricians. And what I'm having patients actually take back to their pediatricians are flyers for the Migraine Toolbox, to hopefully get more of them interested in migraine disease as they keep getting more and more requests and learning, because this is a very teachable, this is something that doctors, mid-levels can do. And I, for instance, have one of their local family practice residencies at Salt Lake. Now all of their residents have a rotation through our headache program. And so that when they go out, they're ready to take care of the majority of headache patients. And then when you get the real complicated ones, those are the ones to refer. And one way to find a referral is to go through the American Headache Society. And if you go to their website, they have a patient area and it says, find a headache specialist. And you can put in your zip code and it'll show you doctors within 10 miles, 25 miles, 100 miles, depending on where you're at.
Wow. Okay. Thank you for that. And I think that the other thing is, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that once they kind of get this screening that shows that they could possibly have migraines, that's also something that it's a tangible thing that they can take to their pediatricians to say, I think we need, more info, like to look further into this. Is that correct, Melissa? Or Dr. Henry? I'm not sure.
Yes, no, I totally agree with you. If they take it in there and say, look, I think my child has migraine disease, that should set off a light in their head to look into that further. So no, I think if you can come and say, look, we've done this questionnaire and it looks like my child has migraine, I've had migraine, my mother had migraine, whatever. That's really a good first step, and it gets maybe your doctor jump started, and that can be a pediatrician or a family doc. or an internist.
If I can just interject real quick on the tail end of that, Dr. Henry. So these materials that these students and parents will have in their possession, we're encouraging them to actually bring those with them to their doctor's appointment, because some doctors don't know the symptoms, they don't know what to recognize, and it helps them also to get a quick education. And then we have a postcard with the migraine toolkit on it, toolbox on it, and other documents like that, that the parents can bring to those appointments to help educate their doctor if they're willing to do so.
And all of this is available at the Migraine at School website.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Just
It is,
making
and
sure.
it's also available on our foundation website as well.
Oh, okay, fantastic. And for those that are listening and watching, we will make sure to have all of those websites available to everybody in case you didn't catch them or anything like that. So just letting you know. So the next question is, what does becoming a migraineatschool.org advocate involve? Sorry, I'm reading these as it's coming up. So sorry if it looks like I'm squinting as I'm reading them.
Okay, I think this is a fantastic question because I would love to see more advocates. What does that involve? Well, we have any level of involvement available to you. It could be as small as just speaking to your student's teacher. We have an actual Migraine 101 packet. It's a starter kit that has everything in it that you would need to bring to your school, to the principal, to your student's teacher, whomever it might be, to educate them on it and get them going. So if you have more questions about that, you can go to migraineatschool.org and you will be able to find out where you can be an ambassador under Migraine at School 101.
Excellent. Next, will the recording of today, so yes, the question was, is today's session being recorded and will it be available? And the answer is yes to both of those. We will have it up on the US Pain's webinar section for that. The next question is, Dr. Henry, are there preventative meds that are appropriate for children and teens? Examples, Botox and
Ajovy.
Yeah, yes. I was like, I will try my best to say it properly. But yes, Ajovy then.
Yes. Well, there are a number of migraines preventative medication that are available, even for very young children. So going all the way down, not only just through teens, but even for kids that are preschool and school age. You can use cyproheptadine orally, very inexpensive drug. The tricyclics, some of the anti-seizure meds have been used and are approved in kids. Botox has never been officially approved for adolescents, but it has been used so much over the last 10 to 11 years because it got approved in the US in 2010, that it's used fairly routinely in very severe, complicated chronic migraine patients. As the monoclonal antibodies, like Ajovy, there are actually 4 of them now. Ajovy is the first one that's doing this study in children, adolescents and children, and it should be approved within the next few months.
Okay, so kind of piggybacking off of that, it said the next question was, why does it seem like some parents I talk to seem to get CGRP treatments for their kids, but I'm told by my neurologist that my son can't use them until 18?
That's currently the FDA approval rate. So you're off label if you use them below that age, and insurance won't pay for them below 18 currently. But that study is in process and almost at the end. And so, because I do a lot of research, I'm among one of the investigators in that study actually, and we're we're finding children respond to the monoclonal antibodies wonderfully.
Well, we appreciate you doing all the research, and for every other researcher that's out there trying to find some answers. So thank you for that. A next question we have is, Melissa, I'm guessing this might be you, is who would be the best person to reach out to at my kid's school to get this program implemented at their school?
All right, truly, whomever you know the best. So everybody knows that person at the school, whether it's the front office lady or the principal or even a certain teacher that really has a bead on the kids' care and would really be an advocate for them. They would be the best person to approach because they would be empowered to then go ahead and move the process along.
We're also looking at really trying to get the school nurse, if your school has a school nurse, and the counselors, because they're the ones that are working with these kids a lot too. So, but anybody you have a contact with.
Excellent. Yeah, usually it's somebody, you know, that you can get in with, and then they help move the ball along. Is my son just graduated high school, but I found with anything in school, that's usually how things tend to get done.
Yes.
Hi, any tips on foods that are helpful or harmful or certain fluids?
Well, when it comes to diet, you know, there's always been a lot of things that we've all heard, all read. There's tons of books written about it. Number one, the biggest food trigger there is number one, skipping meals or fasting. So that's an automatic trigger. So you want frequent smaller meals are much better than 1 or 2 big meals. Number two, you don't want to get dehydrated. So you want at least, you know, like 3 24-ounce bottles of water a day. So fluid is really key. When it comes to specific foods, the 2 biggest ingestants that are big food triggers are MSG, monosodium glutamate, and artificial sweeteners. So monosodium glutamate's hidden in a lot of foods. It's in a lot of canned soups. It's in a lot of canned vegetables. That's why the biggest reason why Chinese food everybody's blaming, and it's usually the Chinese vegetables that come over from Vietnam that already have MSG in the cans. And then all the snack chips are loaded with MSG, like Doritos and Tostitos, etc. Artificial sweeteners, aspartame, and some of those. You know, everybody talks about other, you know, chocolate, red wine, fermented cheeses, cured meats. And for a lot of migraineurs, those aren't triggers. And it could just as easily, some people are triggered by citrus. Or so if you know a food that every time you eat it, you have, it triggers a migraine, avoid it. So that's a trigger for you. And you may not have any food triggers other than the MSG and artificial sweeteners.
Is there anything that they should incorporate into their diet other than the fluids?
You know, you like you know, they talk about the anti-inflammatory diets. And if you look at it, it's really a Mediterranean diet by and large. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, you know, organic meats, whole grains, and lots of water.
Excellent. This is kind of a piggyback off of once you find the right person in the school. The follow-up question was, once connected to the right person, who would they refer them to? Do they handle it, or do they refer them to migraine at school.org? What's kind of the step, the next step, if their school is on board?
Melissa, do you want to take that, or do you want me to? I refer them to Melissa. So,
I am so sorry.
Migraine, I would refer them, you know, migraine at school is fine. Our foundation is fine. Melissa's been taking on quite a load. Elizabeth Wires taking on a big load of this.
Honestly, bring it to me. just bring it to me. I love doing this, and I'm happy, and until I'm too overwhelmed, which I won't be, I would love it.
All right, well, just so you know, that is recorded. That says you will never be too overwhelmed. So just remember that that is now on a recorded line. The next question, these are all great questions, everybody. So thank you for them. Does Dr. Henry recommend, oh, geez,
Just another monoclonal antibody?
Yes,
question?
over Nurtec?
Well,
That's because you're the doctor and I'm not the doctor. I just want you to know.
okay. Well, first of all, the monoclonal antibodies are preventatives specifically to block calcitonin gene-related peptide, which is the easiest way to think about it is CGRP. Migraineurs, about 90% of them produce much more CGRP in their nervous system, in their circulation, etc. And it's a neuroinflammatant. So to your brain, CGRP is like gasoline to a forest fire, okay? And so the monoclonal antibodies block CGRP in one of two major ways and reduce its activity to calm the brain, okay? Now, Nurtec, on the other hand, and that's a large molecule. It's injected either once a month or once every 3 months. So it has a long half-life. Nurtec and Ubrelvy, the other GPANT, is a class of smaller molecule CGRP blockers, and they were first approved for rescue. So these are rescue medications other than the triptans, okay? Nurtec just within the last few weeks was approved for prevention, but usually you have to jump through a lot of hoops with your insurance company to get that going. And it's not approved. The GPANTs are not approved yet in adolescents.
I feel like everything is jumping through hoops with insurance insurance companies. So the next question, I think these people are trying to give me every word that I can stumble on. I had no idea something like Tostitos has MSG. Does the ingredient label say MSG, monosodium glutamate?
We wish they would, and we've tried to petition the food industry to label MSG. And some products are slowly starting to label no MSG or yes MSG, but the food industry has blocked it pretty vehemently. And so one of the hidden words for MSG is it's hidden in the ingredients. When you read it, a lot of times if you see the word natural flavoring at the end of your list, the small print when it lists all the ingredients, you'll see natural flavoring. Oftentimes that's where they stick MSG.
Okay, so that was what it was. Is it called something else, or what other ingredients are red flags that people should look out for?
No, the big ones, if, kind of our grandparents had the right idea, if it has more than 3 or 4 ingredients in it, it's not real food. So the easiest way is to stay as simple and clean with your diet as you can.
Excellent.
Oh, one other thing I wanted to bring up, I know you're doing the questions, but I just want to throw out there, that's also available and underutilized in adolescents and children are the neuromodulators. And these are non-medications. And these are things like the vagus nerve stimulator and the transcutaneous deep brain modulators in some of these units. And these are units that are put over the carotid artery or put on the forehead for trigeminal nerve stimulators to reduce pain. And they can be used, some of them are used both for rescue and for prevention.
And we're pretty lucky that some of these have actually now been approved for ages 12 and over.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah, the biggest
very
thing right
exciting.
now is most insurances don't cover them, which is insane as far as I'm concerned.
Excellent. All right. With more screen time over this past year, I've noticed an uptick in my child's headache attacks. I don't know how to convey that to my doctor and how to make the school understand that screen time might be the problem. Have you seen this as well? Or how should they address this?
Absolutely. I mean, the screen time for a lot of kids is a big problem, and you can address it. I try to address it about 3 different ways. One is, if they can, to do screen time within 15 to 20-minute blocks with 5 minutes to look away or go outside and walk a little bit, or just look away from the screen after about 15 to 20 minutes. And to try to limit to, if we could get down to about 2 hours a day, that'd be great. But that's pretty difficult, especially at the high school age and college. The other thing is you can tone down your screen's brightness.
Sorry.
And using FL41 lenses, glasses that have filters in them, and these are available now pretty easily, and it's a tint put on the glass, really takes the glare down tremendously. And those are called FL41s, and you can get them pretty readily, even online. And they can be with glasses that have correction if you need glasses, but you can also get them plain, and patients even who wear contacts can wear them just plain with the filter. And that's helped a lot of patients.
Okay. The next question: where can people find the CME course?
It's on the Migraine Toolbox. It's a CME course, and that's on my CME.
Okay. And is that through your website, or they just go to my CME?
No, that's a whole separate website. It's my CME, and it's if they then, when they get there and search, they do migraine and they get right to it, or just put in Migraine Toolbox, and they'll get it.
And I see that somebody put the link actually in the Q&A session here, so thank you.
Oh, great. And it is free to any practitioners, including mid-levels.
Great. All right, next. We're getting down there, so make sure we have all of your questions. People are asking about advocacy and helping to get things insured, that maybe their insurance companies don't cover them. Is that something that Migraine at School helps with, or do you have any advice for anybody who maybe the medical device is not covered for them, or certain medications are not covered for them?
Personally, my office, we're advocating every day and appealing for these more specialized treatments and neuromodulators. I've actually had more success. I also try to turn the patient into their own advocate, or the parents into their own advocacy, and that the insurance companies listen more to them than they do to the doctors oftentimes. And one thing that's been successful is if you have a parent who works for a large company, so that they have a lot of employees on one health plan, and they have any access to the HR people at their company, or hey, if you can get to the CEO, get to them, to advocate to the insurance companies, because I hate to say it, money talks.
It doesn't, Melissa, I'm sure you know, as a mom, and I'm a mom as well, that nobody's going to advocate for your child like you will or like they will. And if we don't stick up for them, who will, right? I mean, I'm sure you experienced that.
Most definitely. And, I actually think a parent's letter is extremely powerful when you write out what is going on with your child. And I'm kind of an old-fashioned person. If it's in your area, I go right up there and in person. It's harder for someone to say no to your face. So there's my tip.
I completely agree. And when people see the passion behind you, I don't really accept no all that well. Well, and I guess that kind of leads me into the next question. What if your school doesn't seem interested? What would you recommend so that migraine at school is in their school if they don't seem interested?
Okay, my answer to you is truly, they will be. Besides the Utah school districts, the public schools that have gotten the approval from the PTA, we have been getting this into private schools, parochial schools, and charter schools. I met with a private school this morning and I was only there for 10 minutes. Normally I give a presentation that's a little bit longer than that. They were so excited about it. And every single school, bar none, has accepted the program and implemented it within a few days. I have yet to hear a no. I guarantee you your school will be interested the minute they hear the presentation. You see the wheels turning. They write down names as you're speaking because they're recognizing students already that have migraine. So I say just go for it. And if you have a problem, call me. You can stick me on them.
Do you have a template letter that people can use or that presentation that you're referring to? Is that available for others when they're trying to bring it up to their school?
It is absolutely available. It's called Migraine 101. You can download it off of migraineatschool.org. And again, if you want any help figuring out the process, please contact me and I will be more than happy to help you through it.
Excellent. I think at this point, I'm going to give everybody another minute to enter in any other questions that they have. I do thank you all for those who submitted questions ahead of time, who couldn't be a part of the presentation or had questions. Those that just asked the questions via webinar or Facebook, we do appreciate all of your questions. So if you have any more, I'm going to give you guys another minute or two here just to input them. And while that's going on, is there, and Dr. Henry, I think you mentioned this, is there a spot where people can actually look for pediatric headache specialists to try and help them either get diagnosed or to find the correct treatment to make it easy for them?
Yeah, the biggest search, the easiest search is through the American Headache Society. And if they go there, they can search for everybody who's if they look for members, etc. These are all people who are dedicating their lives to headache treatment. And so, and there's a special interest section that I'm a member of that is pediatric and adolescent. And that group is getting very active. And I'll be presenting Migraine at School, in fact, to them at the Scottsdale Headache Symposium here coming up in November.
Excellent. I'm just making sure. Well, will your presentation be live? Will it be recorded or live for people to tune in by any chance?
I don't know, actually. A lot of the sessions are taped and some aren't. So I'm not sure what'll happen with that one.
Well, stay tuned, everybody. And if it is, we will make sure to let people know to tune in and when to tune in. And if we can get recordings of it as well, we will share that. So I'm going to guess this is going to be the final question. It says, Dr. Henry, any suggestions on how to make transition from pediatric to adult migraine specialist as child goes to college?
Like I said, I'm trying to get more primary care doctors doing headache medicine because there just aren't enough neurologists out there to take care of 40 million Americans with migraine. And so your family doc is perfect because we transition patients right through from pediatrics to adolescents to adults. If you want a very special, like a university-based headache clinic, they make very frank cutoffs from their pediatric headache clinic to their adult headache clinic. So they usually will refer you on if you already have a pediatric neurologist who you're working with. He'll usually refer you on once he decides that you're too old to stay in his practice.
Yeah, this is not a fun time. My son does not have migraine, but this whole transition between adult to child, he's and at college, that's a whole different ball game that we're into right now. So at this
Casey,
point, yeah,
I'm sorry, can I just make one more comment real quick?
you absolutely can.
Okay, so all of you who have been asking about advocacy, I wanted you to know that we will be doing basically a Migraine at School Part 2 with US Pain again. It'll be coming up. We can let you know the dates of that, but it will literally be how to be an advocate. So I hope that you all will join us. It's going to be informative, and I assure you, you will feel absolutely comfortable being an advocate.
That is a very good point. That yes, this is kind of the introduction to Migraine at School, and be on the lookout for more information on the next presentation that will be coming up. So
I'd like to just say one thing. I really want to say that Champ has done a phenomenal job on these graphics. They are wonderful. And patients, I give these packets out to have patients take back to their schools. And they've been so well received. And the feedback has been very, very positive. So anyway, that's just a good job, great job.
It absolutely is. Melissa, how do people get in touch with you? For those that are on here that need to get in touch with you, how do people get in touch with you? And how do they get the packets? And I think they get the packets through Migraine at School, but if you want to just kind of go over all of that, what they can download before we kind of wrap this up, that might be a great thing.
Okay, great. So my email is melissa@daniellefoundation.org. I would love, there it is. It's been posted. Also, you can contact anyone from our team at migraineatschool.org. Every document that we've discussed tonight and many more, they are all available on the website. There are different buttons you can click: student, parent, educator, and you can find all of them. But on top of that, Migraine at School 101 is Migraine at School 101 is the starter kit, and everything that you would want and need is in there. And again, if you have any questions or issues managing it, working through it, whatever, please let me know. Amazing.
Yes. The other thing is that to those who are joining us, you can always reach out to me at Casey at US Pain Foundation if you lose Melissa's information, and we will get you in touch with them as well. On behalf of myself and the pediatric division here, as well as all of US Pain, I really can't thank all of you guys at Migraine at School. Dr. Henry, thank you for all of your countless hours. Melissa, kudos to you for what you guys have done up in Utah. Just how amazing would it be to see this across all the states? And you've really laid a great road work and foundation down there for so many others to kind of piggyback off of that. So thank you so much to you guys. I did just want to make one final comment that Champ is actually launching. There'll be a soft launch this weekend of Headed, and it is a comprehensive list of CME courses about migraine and headache. There'll be a soft launch this weekend, so stay tuned for that, and we will also get everybody some more information as that becomes live. So I guess the next part of this is just make sure you stay tuned. We know this was a lot of information, and we really can't thank you guys enough. And if anybody has any follow-up questions, don't hesitate to reach out. But to everybody who joined tonight, thank you. To those who are going to watch this later, please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions that you have. And to Melissa and the entire team at Migraine at School, thank you.
Thank you as well.
At this time then, so we will be all done. And anybody has any questions, just don't hesitate to email us.